Coming up on this episode of 101 Sports.
Coaches' decisions cost their teams the game, and Brazil struggles to get itself ready to host next summer's World Cup.
Plus, our NBA experts play doctor, and our college football experts go head-to-head once again to make sense of the mess that is the BCS.
All that and so much more, and it all starts right now.
Hello and welcome to 101 Sports. I'm Ryan Ballack.
And I'm Jake Soder. Hey, Gene Chizik. Anything you can do, Gus Malzahn can do better. Here are your starting five.
Saturday may or may not have been the greatest day of college football in the history of ever. The day was highlighted by the Iron Bowl, in which Auburn decided to break physics. After officials put 1 second back on the clock in a tie game, Alabama attempted and missed a 57-yard field goal, which was miraculously returned 108 yards by Chris Davis for the game-winning touchdown. Jake, was this more of an incredible run by Davis or more of a mental lapse by Alabama?
Well, it was more of a mental lapse by Alabama, but in particular, Nick Saban. First of all, the guy who actually kicked the ball had attempted 2 field goals in his entire college career. Second of all, when you have the opportunity to put the ball in potential Heisman frontrunner A.J. McCarron's hands from the opponent's 40-yard line with no time left and attempt a Hail Mary, why wouldn't you do that instead of putting a kicker in who's attempted 2
Heisman
field goals?
And a guy who's won 2 national championships already? How do you not let A.J. McCarron just have a shot at a Hail Mary on a play like this? Just send it in overtime. If you give them a chance to have a kick return off a 57-yard field goal, I have no idea what Nick Saban was thinking. This is a guy who's arguably known as one of the smartest, best coaches in college football, and he just totally blew it
on that one. Kneeling the ball, obviously, in hindsight would have been better, but at the time, probably would have been a better idea than doing that. It was a great day of football this Thanksgiving, highlighted by the primetime divisional matchup between the Ravens and Steelers. But Steelers coach Mike Tomlin stole all the headlines when he seemingly obstructed Jacoby Jones' bid for a kickoff return, with the Ravens leading 13-7 in the third quarter. There's been a lot of controversy over whether Tomlin meant to interfere with Jones, and it's been rumored that the NFL is considering a 6-figure fine and the loss of a future draft pick. Ryan, if that's the case, is that a fair punishment?
This is a very intense punishment. I was really shocked when I saw this. I mean, the loss of a draft pick, I feel like we've never really seen that, especially for coaches. And I don't know if it's excessive, because honestly, I think this is a smart move by the NFL. I mean, clearly we've had issues with players and coaches being on the sideline. We saw with the Jets guy a couple years ago, Sal Alosi, and now Tomlin doing this. Whether it was intentional or not, this should not be happening in the NFL.
Well, I don't think it was intentional, but that's beside the point. The last time we saw a coach get fined 6 figures and the loss of a draft pick was Bill Belichick for Spygate in 2007. And so a pretty big deal to have that, to make that happen.
When you compare it like that, I honestly don't think it's nearly anywhere near what Spygate was.
To be honest, I really don't think he meant to do it. I don't think he would have been smiling like he was after the play happened if he sincerely meant to do it. But whether he meant to or not, I don't think it's a fair punishment.
And one thing is for sure, Mike Tomlin won't be anywhere near the field on next time Jacoby Jones is taking a kick.
For sure.
It was a weekend full of controversial coaching calls in the NFL and college football. In college, Michigan head coach Brady Hoke decided to go for 2 with the chance to defeat Ohio State instead of going to overtime, but fell short 42-41. And in the pros, Bears coach Mark Trestman chose to kick a 47-yard field goal in overtime on 2nd down, and of course missed. The Bears lost 23-20. Which coaching decision was worse?
Well, it's Trestman, but let's start out talking about Brady Hoke. I actually liked what Brady Hoke did. Going for 2 when you're at home against Ohio State, they're undefeated. Michigan really has nothing to play for,
especially this season.
Meaning this season anymore. So if you're going to try to knock off Ohio State, instead of taking it into overtime, might as well finish it in regulation. Now let's talk about Trestman.
Oh yeah.
Obviously the worst coaching decision to kick it on 2nd down, to have that much faith in Robbie Gould. First off, to have that much faith in him from 47 yards is never a gimme. It's absurd.
To have faith from anybody on 2nd down for a 47-yard field goal in overtime in a game that's already could go either way. Clearly, just any mistake is going to lose you this game. And I just do not understand this call at all by Mark Trestman. I completely agree with you on Brady Hoke. I mean, Michigan was horrible this year. And Ohio State, I mean, they have now been undefeated the last 2 seasons. If you're the rival at home and you got a chance to dethrone these guys on senior day, how can you not take that chance?
Why not do it? Exactly. We're 7 months away from the World Cup, and Brazil is still dealing with complications in the preparations for the event. Last Wednesday, part of the stadium set to host the first game of the tournament collapsed, killing 2 construction workers. FIFA is investigating the incident and does not believe it will cause any issues for when the Cup starts in June. Ryan, is this evidence that not every country is prepared to host this kind of event?
I mean, yeah, this worries me, and this isn't the first story we've heard out of Brazil. I mean, we've heard refs being attacked, we've heard players being mobbed. I mean, this is ridiculous. This makes you feel like a very unsafe surrounding for Brazil, and Brazil is also going to host the Olympics 2 years from now. So I don't really know what the FIFA or the Olympics are thinking, but there are places all around the globe that have facilities and have enough people that can support these types of events. I just don't know if Rio
And
de
you love
Janeiro's
to
the
have
perfect
them in
spot.
places like this because if it does work out, it really seriously boosts
variety
their
is nice,
economy. It does,
right.
and it helps them if it works out. But no, not every country is prepared for this
And
kind
we're
of
seeing it
type
with
of
the
thing.
Olympics too, with Russia now. All
Absolutely.
this controversy with the gay athletes.
And it
It's
just so
ridiculous.
happens that Brazil is not prepared for this yet. Personally, I don't see how it's going to get done up to the expectations in 7 months in time for the World Cup.
I completely agree.
I just don't see it happening.
Sometimes the internet is a cool place. In an attempt to mock the MLB Hall of Fame induction process, Deadspin.com, a popular sports website, recently expressed their interest to buy a Hall of Fame voters' vote. Well, Deadspin got their wish, and a voter decided to sell their vote to the site. Deadspin will use the vote as a poll for the fans and will ultimately be decided by the site's followers. Do you like this idea that Deadspin is trying to mock the process by getting a vote?
It's a funny gimmick, and that's all it really is. But honestly,
It's a
it
combination
makes
by both
it
these
makes a
guys.
mockery of the whole
Yeah.
process. The MLB voters have a privilege that they should take very seriously. This is a once in a lifetime opportunity to be able to vote somebody into the Hall of Fame,
but also-
and to give that up just like that. It makes a mockery of
Well,
it.
it also just makes a mockery of the whole process because the process itself is a joke. I mean, any writer, any beat writer, so a guy could be me or you that is just liked by his boss, gets a promotion, guy gets a Hall of Fame vote. But a coach or a player who's in the Hall of Fame or is one of the best coaches in the league, like Buck Showalter, a guy who's been around the majors forever, doesn't get a vote to decide who's in the Hall of Fame. A guy who actually is in the clubhouse with these guys, a guy who actually plays against these guys, and you're not going to give these guys a Hall of Fame. I like giving it to the fans more so than giving it to a beat writer, but still just makes the process.
Another
look
thing of
ridiculous.
note is that the person who's selling their vote has come out and said that they're going to release their personal information. They're going to show themselves after the whole thing is decided. So they're essentially ending their
Right.
entire career just for the sake of showing up the voting process, which is pretty interesting.
Coming up next, I will sit down with our NFL experts who will answer some hard-hitting questions from around the NFL. Stick around.
Now it's time for This Week in Bad Stats.
Bad stats?
Horrible stats. Here goes. 132.
That's how many batters struck out 4 times in one game last season.
Wow, very good. Here's a tough one, though. 3 and 4.
No idea.
That's how many kids have witnessed bullying. 3 out of 4.
That's not a good stat.
No, it's not, but it can change. Kids want to help, but they don't know how. Visit stopbullying.gov and give them the tools they need to help prevent bullying.
There are plenty of safe ways kids can help at stopbullying.gov.
It's no fairy tale that the right fit means everything, especially when it comes to car seats. Always choose one that's the right fit for your child's age and size.
That does make a difference.
To find out more, visit safercar.gov/the right seat.
Welcome back to 101 Sports, where I'm joined at the desk by our NFL experts, Matt Daddle and Nick Markunis. And guys, today we're going to play a game called Questionable Questions. And it's going to be a little different than what we usually do. You guys are going to be the ones asking the questions, and I'm just going to sit here and look pretty. So, Matt, why don't you start us off?
All right, Nick, here's my first question for you.
What do you got for me?
Who's responsible for the Chiefs' success this year? Hit me.
That question, I think you got to look at their defense first of all. They've been phenomenal. Really carried the team. You look at their offense, it's kind of been mediocre. But really what their success has been attributed to is their schedule. Look,
right.
They got fat playing weak teams. The first 9 games, the only real team they played that was pretty decent at all was Dallas. The Eagles, when they were playing, were struggling under Mike Vick. So they got fat playing the first 9 games against weaker competition. So they
You know
got
what, Nick? I like your idea. I like it. Schedule was pretty easy for them, but on the other hand, I'm going to actually say it's Andy Reid here. Andy Reid came in. I think you can put a little credit to Alex Smith because he's ran the offense
I think
great, but
they've worked
Reid
well
is the
together.
reason. He brought him in, his offense, his defense.
All right, well, firing back at you, my question for you, has this season been a sophomore slump for RG3, or was his rookie season a fluke, and this is really the quarterback he's going to be for the rest of his career?
I think it's more of a slump than anything else, but there was a little bit of fluke in his first year. No one knew what to expect out of him in his first year. He ran a lot, and that was great. Second of all, Alfred Morris, huge. Who expected him to run that well?
Diamond in the
No
rough
one.
there.
People forget how good Alfred Morris is.
Exactly. So essentially, I think it's a little bit of both. He's injured, though, and he's going to be that way for the rest of his
right.
career. I think what he's done
The
this
way
year
he plays,
is going to be
he's too
predominantly
injury prone. You also have to look at the offensive coordinator. Their play selection has been very questionable this year. We talked about Alfred Morris. He hasn't seen a lot of time in the second half.
And the
He's
defense has been an abomination.
abysmal. So
Exactly. Now, firing back at you, staying in the same division, another quarterback. Is Tony Romo a top 5 quarterback in the NFL?
I think this question is a 2-part question. We look at the postseason play of a quarterback, you're judged on how you win in the postseason if you lead your team to championships. In that regard, absolutely not. But if you look statistically regular season, he tears it up every year. So I think for the regular season, he's a top 5 quarterback. But if you look at his career as a whole, you can't give it to him.
Sticking with the statistics, the one thing is, I agree, he's had some struggles in the postseason. However, this year in wins, he's played great. In losses, he's played even better. This is not on him. He has 12 touchdowns to 1 interception in losses,
true.
109 QB rating. it's not his fault right now.
Your philosophy is interesting. Peyton Manning, top 5 quarterback, based on your little philosophy of playoff quarterback.
He has a Super Bowl ring. We're going for it. Top 5 quarterback.
All right,
we're
moving
going
on.
to look. Speaking of Peyton Manning, we're going to ask you: can he break Tom Brady's touchdown record of 50 passes in an NFL season?
Well, if Denver's smart, he will. He has the averages for it, and they shouldn't bench him by the end of the season. They need to get home field advantage, and the only team that's right behind him is New England, who they just lost to.
True.
So they want home field advantage. You play him for the rest of the year and keep getting wins, and if he plays up to par, he'll break that record. If they bench him early, 1.5 games early, huge mistake. Keep him in rhythm, but if they do, that could be bringing into question. But yes, I think so.
Absolutely. Right now, if you look at their seasons, through 12 games, they both had 41 touchdown passes, so we'll see how that goes. But I think really, with that soft schedule coming up, they're not really playing anyone hard. I think they actually might take that
It also helps.
sitting a little
It
bit.
also helps that the Chiefs have kept it so close in the division race so far this year, so that Peyton actually has a reason to play in these last 4 games.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
My final question for you. Nick Foles, MVP, can he be considered?
Oh, absolutely. I think you have to give him consideration.
All right.
Based on the fact, in the full 5 games he's played, they're 5-0. He has a passer rating of 125,
That's absurd.
highest in the league.
19 touchdowns,
And the
0
best part,
interceptions.
he hasn't thrown. You made him up. He doesn't have any interceptions. The guy's playing out of his mind. And for that reason, the Eagles have skyrocketed right back into the NFC contention.
It's incredible. He's about to break Peyton Manning's record for consecutive touchdowns to start the season without the interception. He said 19.
That he said this
Peyton's
year
at
that
20.
people were like never was going to be broken.
It's remarkable.
Yeah.
So all power to Foles.
Unbelievable.
I think he should be considered.
Absolutely. And my last question for you, staying on the offensive side, is the Bush-Bell combination in the backfield in Detroit the best in the league?
For now, yes. Reggie Bush, he can run fast. He can actually start running between the tackles, and he catches passes. And when Bell comes in, he can push a pile, and he can get himself into the end zone. So right now,
thunder
yes.
and lightning.
If Carolina's healthy between Newton, Williams, Stewart, and Tolbert, that's pretty nasty. Same thing with Foster and Tate in Houston, and then same thing with Spiller and Jackson in Buffalo. I think they all provide some sort of competition, but right now, Detroit, it's pretty good looking.
I think the edge goes to them based on their receiving skills. They're really good receivers.
Good point.
Threats out of the backfield to catch the
Exactly.
ball.
If Bush and Bell can both stay healthy, mainly Reggie Bush, very dangerous duo in Detroit. Coming up next, Jake and Christine will take a trip to the ice to talk some NHL. Stay tuned.
It's no fairy tale that the right fit means everything, especially when it comes to car seats. Always choose one that's the right fit for your child's age and size.
That does make a difference.
To find out more, visit safercar.gov/the-right-seat.
It's time for some hockey as we welcome Christine Williams back to the desk for her last block ever on one-on-one sports. So let's get it going. We're going to talk about the Olympics because Sochi's coming up pretty soon. Let's start talking about Canada's defensemen. Out of Chris Letang and PK Subban, who's more likely to make the team?
See, both of these guys are really similar. I find this situation really interesting. PK Subban won the Norris Trophy. He beat out Chris Letang for that honor there. They're both definitely offensive-minded defensemen, both very smooth skaters, which will bode well in the international larger ice surface. But here I've got to give the edge to Chris Letang, and here's why. PK Subban only plays, he averages less than a minute per game in shorthanded situations for the Montreal Canadiens. For a defenseman, that's a little weird. That says that a coach doesn't trust him in that situation. And Chris Letang averages just about a minute or 2 minutes per game in shorthanded situation, in addition to playing the power play and at even strength. I think you have to have a player who can play in all situations when you're going into the Olympics for that reason, just because you never know what's going to come up, what you're going to need, but you can't really go wrong with either of these players.
Well, let's move across the border and inside the crease, talk about USA's goaltenders. Who's more likely to make it out of Ryan Miller and Jonathan Quick?
Both of these players are on the bubble for different reasons. Ryan Miller has struggled in past seasons, and Jonathan Quick is right now out with a groin injury, not expected to return until late December. Now, his situation is interesting because the U.S. team is going to announce their roster on January 1st. So I think I have to give the edge to Miller in this situation. He's been playing a lot better this season. He plays in front of a pretty bad team. So to be able to put up the numbers that he has a 918 save percentage right now. I would have to give it to him, the MVP of the last Olympics. But you know, Jonathan Quick, I would have loved to have said that he would be there. I would love to say that, but considering his injury, it's really hard to say whether he's going to bounce back or whether he's going to have a relapse, and I don't think they can take the risk.
He's a little bit younger, too. He's got some time, if he doesn't make it this year, to make it in the future. Let's move across the Atlantic up to Scandinavia. Talk about Sweden and Finland. Which of those two teams has a better shot at a medal this year?
Both of these teams, I think, have a pretty decent shot. If you didn't know, Finland has medaled in 5 of the last 7 Olympics right now. You probably don't think that. They've done it very quietly. They've never won the big one like Sweden did in 2006, haven't gotten the gold. Finland, I think, is interesting because they have great goaltenders in Tuukka Rask, Antti Niemi, both solid world-class players that you could put in there in any situation. However, up front, I don't think they have a lot. Their best players in Teemu Selanne and Saku Koivu are getting up there in age, and I don't even know if they're going to make the team. So I have to give the edge to Sweden. They have Henrik Lundqvist backstopping them, obviously a great goaltender. And now they've got such great firepower up front. The Sedins, they've got Zetterberg, and right now Alex Steen is playing out of his mind right now, was leading the league in goals. I have to give the edge to Sweden, but I wouldn't be shocked if the goaltending of Finland got them a medal.
Early prediction, who wins it all?
It's really tough to say. You know, you'd love to see Canada get it, do a repeat. The United States obviously came so close last time, but I have to give the edge to the home team. In Russia, I know it's a lot of pressure to be placed on them, but Canada overcame that in 2010. They're playing on their home soil. They have the larger ice surface that a lot of their players are used to. Alex Ovechkin and Evgeny Malkin have found their form, and they're playing at the top of their games. And then you look at the goaltending situation there, too. You've got the Vezina Trophy winner, Sergei Bobrovsky, last year, who could be in net. And Semyon Varlamov of Colorado has had a fantastic season.
Yeah, he has.
The only question is whether he's going to be able to play because of his pending legal issues in Colorado. Don't know if he's going to be able to make the trip, and that could be a concern. But Russia has a great team, the home team advantage. I'd love to see that.
Got the home team. Certainly would make the fans in Sochi very, very happy if that happened. We have to step away real quick, but stay with us as Ryan is joined by our NBA experts as they break down the biggest injuries so far this season.
Get caught buzzed driving, and you could do some hard time.
Craig, knock it off.
Sorry, Mom.
It could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. And that could set you back a few years. Buzzed, busted, and broke. Because buzz driving is drunk driving.
Hey, I'm Anderson Cooper. As a parent, you want to make sure that your child knows how to deal with bullying when they see it happening. And chances are they want to help, but they don't really know how. I'll teach them that the best thing to do is calmly walk away, find a teacher or other adult, and speak up. And do your part. Be that adult they can talk to and trust will listen. Join me to help stop bullying. Go to stopbullying.gov to find out more.
Welcome back to 101 Sports, where I'm now joined by our experts on the hardwood, Darren Vaught and Stephen A. Harris. And today you guys get to play a little doctor and pretend like you've been to medical school for the last 15 years of your life. And you are going to assess some of the early injuries that have occurred to some of these teams in the NBA so far this year. We'll determine whether it's a big-time injury, if the team should be really concerned, so on and so forth. So Darren, we'll start with you. The Memphis Grizzlies, reigning Defensive Player of the Year, Marc Gasol, MCL sprain. How serious?
Well, Ryan, I'm going to preface this statement with no, I did not, in fact, go to medical school because I'm pretty sure a real ice pack would not take care of a real MCL sprain like Marc Gasol has. But the proverbial ice pack will do just fine in this matter. He's going to be about a month before he gets back on the court. The Grizzlies, to me, are a team that's offensively inept anyways, so I don't see them falling very far, even with their struggles. Costa Koufos, though,
stepped in well.
Yeah, he's done pretty well so far, about 6 rebounds per game. I think he can hold it over.
That's fair. I'm going to preface this by saying, unlike you, I actually did go to medical school.
Go on.
And I'm going to give the Memphis Grizzlies this crutch right here.
Okay.
Because Marc Gasol's not flashing in any way. He's not leading them in any statistics. But he makes a difference. He's arguably one of the best, the best player on that team. He's averaging over 16 points per game, averaging over 7 rebounds per game.
Huge on defense.
Exactly. He's the reigning Defensive Player of the Year. That means something. And when you lose that, I don't know how well Costa Koufos can fill in over that whole time. Because while they don't have much far to fall, they do have something to prove after being a Western Conference runner-up last year, and they need to step it up.
The Grizzlies already had a rough start to the season. Now losing Gasol certainly doesn't help them. Right, moving on to the Houston Rockets, who have played pretty well so far. They lose their backup guard, Jeremy Lin, their point guard. Jeremy Lin, how serious for the Rockets?
Well, I'm going to give them the Band-Aid right here.
Nothing too big?
Because, like you said, he's the backup point guard. You lose your backup point guard, that's not really a big deal.
Him and Howard have been good, though.
I guess, but again, I feel like their focus isn't in their point guard play. You could really just have anybody who can get some decent passing skills because you're going to run the offense through James Harden, Dwight Howard, and Chandler Parsons. So you lose one point guard as long as you have somebody in there who has decent passing skills, then you're fine.
Yeah, Stephen A., I'm with you. We're going with the Band-Aid. This is not a huge injury. He's only going to be about 2 to 4 weeks out. This is a team that leads the NBA in scoring, just over 109 points per game. They've still got James Harden. They still are bringing in the boards with Dwight Howard. They're going to be just fine offensively. They're loaded at guard. Patrick Beverley, obviously the better point guard of the two, he and Lynn. But they do need Lynn back.
Yes.
You know, he's a streaky guy anyways. So they're going to need him back to go on some runs.
The Rockets are loaded with offensive talent, and a guy who really can instigate that offensive talent is a guy like Jeremy Lin. So he certainly does help, but I agree with you guys. Not too big of a loss for the Rockets. All right, newly acquired Andre Iguodala has a big hamstring injury. Right now he's out indefinitely. How serious for the Warriors?
So I'm a little worried about this one. Golden State picked up Iggy, and he was going to be the difference maker. So far this season, he has been. He is their versatile defender, a guy that down the stretch they can put on any team's best man.
And that game-winning shot against
and try and consistent. And he's not bad offensively as well. This is serious. I'm going with the crutch because points per game, per 100 possessions allowed by the Golden State Warriors since his absence has gone up by 10. 10 points per every 100 possessions.
I'm going to go with the ice pack because that team is an offense-first team. You do lose that defensive presence, that outside guy who can lock down out in the perimeter. And that's fair. But they're an offense-first team. You still got Curry averaging over 22 points per game. You got Thompson averaging over 20. Harrison Barnes is a good forward. If he's playing
almost another version, a younger version.
Exactly. He's playing very similar to the way Iguodala is, and he's taller. So they're pretty much the same team that they were last year, and that team
but that's a
upset
problem.
the Nuggets.
That's a
and he's
problem.
Not out forever. If he was out for the season, most definitely the crutch.
It's a hamstring though.
But
Those
he's
can
coming
linger,
back,
and I worry with his age.
He'll come back and he'll be.
I'm with Darren just because the Warriors were. You're right. The Warriors are that team last year without Andre Iguodala, and for the Warriors to go to that next level, which is the Warriors' ultimate goal, they have to have Andre Iguodala healthy. So him being hurt is a big warning sign for the Warriors. Coming up next, Jake will sit down with our favorite college football experts to take a look back at the memorable weekend that was.
This is your computer. Let's go in. Let's go. Okay.
She's gonna love me all over again.
Jamaica, here you come.
Here we go.
Good job.
The next 30 seconds can save you a lot of money. Just do your laundry in cold and stick to full loads. Auto-sleep your computers. Plug your gadgets in a power strip and switch it off when you're done. Headed out? Turn back your thermostat by 10 degrees. And drive sensibly. The more energy you save, the more money you save. Find other great tips at energysaver.gov.
Welcome back to the desk. I'm joined once again by our two college football experts, Julian Council and Preston Willett, to see what else these guys could possibly disagree on. I'm sure we'll find something. Let's start with the game from Auburn, Alabama, this past weekend. What a crazy finish. We thought we'd seen the craziest finish in sports when they played Georgia in Auburn. Turns out we were wrong. So, Julian, start with you. What does this finish, this miracle finish, mean for the BCS picture?
I mean, how many miracles do these guys need? Honestly, like, every week at Jordan-Hare, it just seems like they have some sort of miracle. You know, the kick six, they're now dubbing it. I mean, it was an amazing moment in sports. But, I mean, for the BCS picture right now, you see they got Florida State and Ohio State. Right now, when you look at it.
There you go. There it is. That's it. There's the BCS picture. It's over, folks.
Right now, okay, we have two undefeated power conference teams. It makes sense for them to play for national championship, but honestly, my humble opinion, I do not think Ohio State is deserving. I think if Missouri wins this weekend, which I think they're going to, they should jump Ohio State no matter what happens in the Ohio State-Michigan State game.
So you think that a team that went undefeated through the regular season should not be in the national championship? Because everyone tries to keep making the case, oh, well, Auburn's loss was was against a good team, or Missouri's loss was against a good team in overtime.
Double.
You know what? Ohio State didn't lose. They didn't lose. They don't have to make. They don't have to make.
They have not played a single
Julian,
team.
they don't have to make excuses. They just did not lose. They have not lost since last season. Urban Meyer has not lost a game since he has come to the Ohio State University. The Ohio State University.
Honestly, it doesn't matter. They haven't played anybody. I mean,
Well,
they almost.
But they are undefeated because they have done what they need to do.
Let's say, for example, that Ohio State does lose in the Big Ten championship, or say Florida State loses, one of them. What happens to the BCS picture, and who plays in the national championship game? Who jumps in if that happens?
If either one of them loses, then it's obviously going to be the winner of the SEC championship. I think both me and Julie can actually agree on that. Yeah. If Auburn wins, they're going to go. If Missouri goes, if Missouri wins, they're going to go. I mean, it's that obvious.
Yeah, it's pretty obvious. I mean, I think Mizzou personally is going to win that game, so it's the winner of that game.
I'm going to have to stop you there. I think Auburn's going to win.
Well, so the SEC championship, we can all agree, will be in that spot. Northern Illinois is getting a lot of hype this year because they're undefeated, but they also don't play in a major BCS conference. So will they get a BCS berth, Julian?
I mean, if Ohio State's going to win national championship, put them in there. I mean, might as well Illinois go in there. They don't play anybody just like Ohio State. I think they're probably getting up there. Unfortunately for UCF, playing in a bigger conference than them, beating Louisville on the road, and Louisville's a top 10 team, is just not good enough for them to play in BCS.
Are they? Because at the beginning of the year, you disagreed and said Louisville was garbage, but now they're a top 10 team.
I never said they were garbage. I never believed that they were that great.
They are ranked ahead of UCF. Jordan Lynch is one of the best players in the country. The best player, not the best quarterback, one of the best players in the country. He should be seriously considered for the Heisman, however this whole Winston thing plays out. So I don't see why Northern Illinois wouldn't get into the BCS. I mean, they were there last year, and they gave Florida State a decent fight in the first half.
They didn't even, in the first half. It's a 60-minute game. Like, who wants to see a team that already proved that they cannot win on that stage?
It's a different team. It's a whole different year. Julian, you can't compare last year's teams to this year.
Well, that's what you do for Ohio State. Ohio State hasn't lost Urban Meyer, so they should be in national championship. That's what you said earlier, but now you're going back on Northern Illinois saying, oh, it's a different team. It's the same thing, Preston.
No, this isn't a different Ohio State team. They just don't lose. Okay, that's all I'm trying to say.
Well, UCF for sure has a pretty good resume, and that Louisville win is on that resume for sure. Yeah. But it's hard to disagree with undefeated, no matter what conference you play in. That's a wrap. We got to step away one last time, but coming up, Ryan and I hand out some Christmas gifts of our own. Stick around.
You didn't give up on sex. Don't give up on birth control either. There are more methods than you think. Find yours at bedsider.org.
Wow, these are really good.
You act surprised. Practice makes perfect.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. There are thousands of teens in foster care who don't need perfection. They need you.
No thanks, Dad. I got it.
Okay. I'm gonna go fix the lamp in your room.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. There are thousands of children in foster care who will take you just as you are.
'Tis the season here at 101 Sports, and with the holiday season coming into full swing, we figured it would be fun to give out some presents to some of our favorite athletes. So, Jake, what do you have on your shopping list for some of these athletes this year?
I'm actually going to start out with a coach, and that coach is Mike Tomlin. Look, I know you got a dog, I got a dog, and to train dogs, you often give them electrical dog collars that tell them when the electrical fence is coming up.
You stepped over the line.
Mike Tomlin needs one of these to let him know when the field starts and when the sidelines end. So, Mike Tomlin, you get an electric dog collar. What's your first gift?
I like that. Well, Jason Kidd's having a pretty rough year, so I figure I brighten his year with a nice present. I'm giving him a Nalgene bottle. Obviously, he spilled his drink, and I'm assuming Jason Kidd must be pretty clumsy. I mean, spilling drinks all over the hardwood floors. Guy needs a protective water bottle. You can run over that Nalgene bottle, Jason Kidd. You're not going to spill anything.
Love it.
What do you got?
My next gift, I'm going to give a lump of coal. Look, it's not really a gift, but it's a lump of coal.
I wouldn't want a lump of coal.
To RG3.
Oh,
look,
he's having a rough year already. Come on.
The guy had a fantastic year last year, and it looks like he has completely lost that clubhouse. And I mean really completely lost it. The Washington Redskins, their record is 3-9. Guess who else in the NFL has a record of 3-9, Ryan? The Jacksonville Jaguars.
Yeesh.
Lump of coal goes to RG3. What's your last gift?
That's not good. All right. I feel bad doing this, but I also feel good because the Xbox One, a great new toy that everybody wants. I want one.
I do.
I'm going to give it to Derrick Rose. Derrick Rose, unfortunately, has another ACL injury, out for another season again, so he's going to need some time to hang out. And also, I'm going to give Derrick Rose a copy of NBA 2K14 so he can remember what it was once like to jump in the air. But unfortunately, can't use the Kinect.
Yeah, I was going to say that. You can't use the Kinect. That's bittersweet. But I like that idea, though. That's all the time we have for this show, but if you missed anything or just want to watch it all again, check out our YouTube page at youtube.com/101sports.
And be sure to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter at 101 Sports.
For all of our producers and crew here at the show, we'll see you in 2014 and for one last time this year.
Whose side are you on?